I just remembered something. Sorry.
What?
Last pick na lang siguro. It's the first pandemic episode of Raw.
Yes, I remember that.
Para, I was shocked. Like I remember the Austin 316. They were about to celebrate it. Tapos Raw has to have no crowd because the COVID restrictions. Kaya nakakapanibago, like Stone Cold entering the arena, no crowd reaction. Hindi pa sila nagpa-pipe in ng like ng sounds from 2K whatever 2K20. And si Byron lang yung nagre-react, which it's really awkward. It was also fun in a way, pero yeah, we have to go through that those times.
Yeah. Well, when we like celebrate like 5 years of the pandemic, we probably will, but not now because nobody wants to remember the the Performance Center era.
Yeah.
All right. Ito si Ina, meron pa siyang huling pahabol. Dean versus Seth for the WWE Championship that ended in a draw. Big Dick Johnson. Fred, ang dami.
Of all the things.
Yeah. Mankind won the WWE Championship. Tito Fred, naabutan mo ba yun? The live episode of Raw where, the taped episode of Raw rather, where Mankind won the championship. Then he also has the DX tank segment. John Cena, Chris Jericho's debut on that Raw from 1999. Yun, napanood mo sa network. All right, dami mong picks eh. All right. Sige.
Ro?
Yes, Emil, what?
Right, just to end this, I think a lot of us wrestling fans, we take Raw for granted because it's been in existence for so long. But before Raw, wrestling was just yung syndication lang siya, and it would just be match after match after match. But we have to give credit to Raw for being revolutionary in terms of like in professional wrestling, in terms of inserting storylines in your TV shows. And napaka-revolutionary lang yan. Like today, sanay na tayo with the format of Raw, but back then it was really revolutionary. And you got these other companies who tried to emulate the weekly format shows, Nitro, ano pa ba, yung Impact, and hell, Dynamite. Without Raw, the weekly format of wrestling wouldn't exist. It would still be like the territory days where once in a while it will be on TV and you get to catch it, but you'll never know when it's going to appear again. So Raw shaped a whole new generation of wrestling fans that Raw deserves so much credit for. Without Raw, I don't think the world of wrestling would be as big and as popular as it is today. So just want to give Raw some love here before we end the pod.
All right,
I want to add some point ni Emil that back then I was actually listening to The Bump last night. Shawn Michaels was there talking about Raw 30, and he mentioned that having Monday Night Wrestling is unusual kasi back then what they would do is every weekend lang sila.
Weekends. Wrestling was a weekend thing.
Yeah, it's a weekend thing. Kaya they have to learn everything ng live. Like they have to learn like how to come back from commercial break. Like, diba, they would have that sequence na yung babyface would be the guy who's down now pagka commercial break is over. They have to learn everything from scratch. And then through the years, na turo nila in the next generation. And just like what Emil said, parang ganun na rin yung naging format in other companies like Impact, even in AEW, and so on.
Yeah, I agree with everything Emil said, but also as a local wrestler, Raw kind of, did a number on fans' expectations of wrestling here in the Philippines. Like, now Pinoy fans wanted, PWR and MWF to have weekly television shows, and people expected them to be on TV, even though we were far from ready for being on TV. Diba? It's great for the major league wrestlers to have something that keeps them relevant, especially now. And it's definitely a good thing for wrestling to be a big thing because it airs every week on TV. It's great for them because they have a long and storied wrestling industry. But syempre, kami, for the rest of us, we can only really do like a monthly show, and that's how the stories get told. I don't know if Raw is still a grail, but it's also worth mentioning, by the way, si Fred kasi mentions here in the chat that nung panahon na okay pa si Vince wasn't really ever okay, you know. There was a reason why WCW was better in the 90s than WWE. And there was a reason why the Attitude Era came a little late after WCW's prime. So the only good thing that Vince ever did really was to make Raw, to make the television show, but he wasn't the ones really writing its best parts. We see this now with Triple H. He's the one writing good Raws, not really Vince.
Yep.
And his wrestlers are carrying the quality of the show. If I say if they weren't wrestling their asses off, then Raw would be super unwatchable, I think. Ito si Glendale, sabi niya, early 90s WWE was filled with crazy gimmicks. I think if you would watch the early years of Raw now, you would see how ridiculous it was outside of the big names that you knew back then, like Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, those guys. Diba? So I wouldn't. Sorry,
That's actually
it's actually true.
Kasi-
Exactly, right?
Kasi ako, for my experience, like there's actually a free Raw episode over on YouTube. The very first episode of Raw. Hindi ko siya matapos because I just find it ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. So Raw wasn't always good. It was just groundbreaking, yes, but that doesn't mean it was good.